Chair, thank you. Today we'll be hearing this morning from Lisa Bates and later this afternoon from Stuart Ringer. Before we hear that evidence, I want to point to the fact that today's evidence is likely in parts to be distressing and difficult to listen to. For some, it may not be possible to sit through the session, and I want to make clear that anyone in the hearing room is welcome to leave at any point. I also want to remind people that emotional support is available for all of those who require it. We have support staff from Hestia, an experienced provider of emotional support, here today and for each day of this hearing. There's a private room downstairs where you can talk to Hestia support staff if you require emotional support at any point throughout this hearing. The Hestia support staff are wearing orange lanyards and scarves, or alternatively, you can speak to a member of the inquiry team and we can put you in touch with them. All members of the inquiry team are wearing purple lanyards. For those watching online, information about available emotional support can be found on the Lampard Inquiry website at lampardinquiry.org.uk and under the support tab near the top right-hand corner. We want all those engaging with the inquiry to feel safe and supported. Could we have the first witness sworn, please?
I, Lisa Bates, do solemnly, sincerely and truly declare and affirm that the evidence I shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. Lisa, you are the mother of Tilly Ann King.
Yes.
Who died at home on the 8th of March 2020, just 4 months after her 21st birthday.
Yes, I am.
You've provided to this inquiry a number of things, and I want to take you through those before we begin. The first I'm going to deal with is that you've provided to us a very comprehensive witness statement under Rule 9,
Yes.
and you should have a full printed copy of it in front of you.
Yes.
Could I ask you, please, it's 59 pages long, but if you could please turn to page 58.
Yes.
You'll see there that your witness statement is dated the 13th of January 2026, and that is the page where you made a statement of truth and signed. Yes? Thank you. Are you content sitting here now that what you have written in that statement is true and accurate?
Most definitely.
Thank you. Lisa, the other thing that you have provided to us is a commemorative account about Tilly's life and about the impact of her loss on you and your family. And what we're going to do is that you're going to read that first.
Yes.
Before you and I move on to talking through the substantive evidence you've set out in your witness statement. The other thing that you have provided are a number of photographs and videos.
Yes.
And what we're going to do is, when you have read your commemorative evidence, we're going to show some of those. We'll then take a short break and we'll move into your substantive evidence. And at the end of that, we'll show the remaining photographs and videos, all right?
Yeah.
I want to note, though, that there are 2 photographs you have submitted that the inquiry will not be showing.
Yes.
The reasons for that have been explained to you. But I want to give you this assurance now that those photographs have been seen and reviewed by the chair.
I have seen them.
Thank you.
When you're ready, would you like to start reading your commemorative account?
Do I do my opening statement? Can I read?
Of course,
Yeah.
you can read those now.
So there are 5 points that I would like to make before we start on Tilly's journey.
Yes.
There aren't 1 or 2 words in the English dictionary that could give Tilly's journey justice to explain how horrific the entire journey has been. From the very start, from the very first day when she put her little foot through the office doors of CAMS. I supplied photos to show how horrific and dark the journey really was, but I understand these pictures can't be shown here today. It's a pity, as these pictures say more than words ever will. But I hope the very fact that I cannot show them will resonate with you as to how serious and destructive Tilly's life journey became. Nonetheless, you have seen these photos, Baroness Lampard, so I am pleased about that. We handed our most precious gift, Tilly, to the people who were supposed to know best, who were supposed to know their job. They turned a young, vulnerable child into using reliant, fast-releasing medication. That journey took her from being a troubled child to a troubled adult, where her challenging illnesses and issues became more devastating. Some of these, insomnia, bulimia, anorexia, borderline personality disorder, emotionally unstable disorder, anxiety disorder, drink addiction, inability to regulate and control emotions, and repeated, ongoing self-harm. We didn't just lose Tilly on the 8th of March 2020. We lost her for her very first appointment at CAMS. We handed our daughter over to an already broken system. If I knew back then what I know now, I would never have done it. I would never have handed my baby, my little girl, over to the people that were meant to know what to do and how to help. They didn't help.
Thank you. You want to go ahead with your commemorative account?
So this is my commemorative account of Tilly Ann King. She was born on the 23rd of October 1998. She died on the 8th of March 2020, 9:40 a.m. This is a message from one of her best friends. Actually, this is one that was helping her the night she passed.
Yes.
Well, Tilly, she was one of the kindest people I've ever met. She put everyone else's needs before her own and had so many plans for the future. And I was included in most of them. But we were best friends, and sometimes it felt like just me and her against the world. We had plans to go see Birds of Prey, go to the emo shops in town, play Animal Crossing together. We were going to have so many sleepovers and have so much fun together. We had so much love to give the world, even though the world wanted to give her crap all the time. She went through so much and still managed to make others feel special. Recently, before she passed, she told me she didn't want to die anymore and that she was scared to die. She was going through so much mentally and even physically, but she wanted to be here. Every time I think about her, I get angry and sad that she didn't get to live out her plans, and her death has ripped a giant hole in my heart. She's an unforgettable person, and I know this because I have spoken to some business owners that she bought from, and they said they have never forgotten her. I could really go on about how amazing she was and all the plans she had. I literally could write for days on end. She deserved the absolute best, and I am so glad to have gotten to know how pure and kind she was. She made me feel so special, and no one else had done that for me. That's the kind of person that Tilly was. She wanted me to be okay. She wanted everyone to be okay. She was the best person I have ever met, and I will cherish that forever. That's from one of her friends. This is my account. I struggled deciding how to approach this commemorative account. It's not something any parent ever prepares for. As parents, we all hope our children live long and happy lives, achieving all the things that they could ever dream of. But the unthinkable sometimes does happen, and it has in my case. And now I am here having to talk about my beautiful daughter. In the past tense, every day since my Tilly has passed has been a struggle, a fight to get up and keep going. But not a single day has gone by without me thinking about her and seeing her beautiful smile wherever I go. Her wonderful soul has never left my side since the day she died. As painful as it has been, I decided that I owe it to Tilly just to tell it as it is today. I'm not going to make it nice. I'm not going to pretty it up. I'm going to say it as it is. Because quite frankly, nobody was really worried about offending my Tilly or us when we was going through the journey. And when her life was at risk, nobody cared then about ripping our lives apart. The only good I can hope for now is that this inquiry wakes people up so that more families do not have to go through the agony that we, as Tilly's family, have had to live with. My beautiful, sweet daughter, dear little girl, Tilly Ann, was born the 11th at 11:20 on Friday, the 23rd of October, 1998. She was actually born with her waters intact, which is meant to be lucky. I got the name Tilly from a midwife who saw my eldest daughter in her crib when she was born. She picked up her leg and shook it, calling her Tilly, and I thought to myself, wow, I like that name. I'll have to remember that for my next one. And sure enough, when my next one was born, I instantly knew she was my Tilly. Before Tilly was ever a patient of Cam's, when she was just an infant, she was a delightful, bubbly and passionate little girl. She had so much energy inside her at such a young age. She wanted to experience everything life had to offer. We enrolled her in swimming lessons. She joined the Brownies, Rainbows. She mastered karate and even learned how to play the violin and guitar. Her interests and abilities at that young age were truly endless. Having an older sister for Tilly was also a real blessing because that relationship gave her confidence that she needed just to be herself. They were both extremely close, and I'll always treasure my memories of them performing shows for us in the living room after they'd been practicing in their rooms for hours. I would sit there watching them as a proud mum, feeling so happy that my girls were enjoying life. When I found out, or when Tilly found out that I was expecting, she was so excited. She couldn't wait to meet her new baby's sister. Finally, she was going to be the older one. And when my last-born arrived, Tilly was right there, ready for duty. She would sing to her, give her a bottle. It was beautiful to see how naturally she cared. That was one of Tilly's greatest strengths, that she knew you were upset, or that she was always so caring. She would always pick up on other people's emotions and vibes. And if she knew you were upset or depressed, she would not leave your side until she found a solution to make it better. I cannot tell you how many messages I received from people after Tilly died who told me how much she changed their lives, whether it was her just being there for them, or her convincing one of her friends to call the Samaritans when they were feeling suicidal, or her raising thousands of pounds for charity. In her short life, she was one of the most caring and impactful human beings I know. Then, as Tilly got a bit older, after CAMS and repeated failures by hospitals and the community adult services, her mental health deteriorated and addiction took hold. Life for Tilly then became much darker. At one point, she wanted to be a tattoo artist, a big contrast to the little girl who, at 8 years old, loved dressing up in every princess costume and finding her dancing around in clippy-cloppy shoes. No one of us could ever imagine that child, who once radiated joy, would one day end up so dark, wearing the darkest clothes, covering herself in the darkest tattoos, having the deepest, darkest and imaginable thoughts, and cutting herself into pieces. Still, even with that state of mind, she never stopped being creative. Art became her passion, drawing whatever was on her mind, her way of expressing herself, and she was very good at it. I first knew that Tilly was self-harming when her school reported it to me, after Tilly had told her school therapist about her cutting, and it was such a shock to me. I immediately blamed myself, because how could I have not noticed that? How could I have not seen that? Soon after that, Tilly's mental health began to spiral. Soon, she was in and out of inpatient hospitals, in and out of AA, and her self-harming got worse and more frequent over time. I remember when Tilly's dad and I met the head of CAMS for the first time, and we said to him, "This is our daughter that we are handing over to you, the most precious gift we have in this world, so treat it as such." That is what we do as parents. We're not medical professionals after all. So when we don't have the answers and we need assistance in keeping our child safe, we put our faith and trust in the people who are trained to help us. As scared as I was at that time, I knew I couldn't keep Tilly safe on our own. I knew my beautiful girl was in trouble. So we did what we needed to do, asked for help and support from the so-called professionals. But what was the outcome of that for this young, impressionable child who had just a few years prior been so full of life and so full of energy. They placed her in an unsafe, unsuitable, inpatient hospitals like Rochford, where she started learning tricks from other bulimia and anorexic patients about how to disguise that illness. CAMS were cancelling her outpatient appointments repeatedly when it was already a battle to get her in the car because of her crippling anxiety. I was just trying to say, I wanted to say more, but obviously I've got to read what's on here. The anxiety that poor child went through to even try and attend an appointment. They pumped her with powerful, mind-altering sedatives for years and years to come, ensuring that she developed a cycle of chemical dependence that stripped away the girl she once was. And the last thing about the medication was perhaps the worst part of all. Tilly was 15 years old when they prescribed her Zopiclone and venlafaxine, and in doses that only ever increased over time. These are incredibly strong drugs. If you read the side effects, among other things, venlafaxine can cause dizziness, insomnia, long-lasting confusion, tremors, mania, unexplained muscle weakness, suicidal thoughts, and the list goes on. Zopiclone can cause drowsiness, hallucinations, unusual behaviours, mood changes, and thoughts of self-harm and suicidal ideation. And as we all know, highly addictive. I found out later that Zopiclone should not have been prescribed for someone suffering with borderline personality disorder, let alone a child who was also young and impressionable. And venlafaxine can, instead of easing BPD symptoms, actually make them far worse. Eventually, after spending years and years on these drugs, Tilly ended up so addicted to the feeling of being high that she started to tolerate not being able to tolerate being sober. She told her adult service doctor this. And what did they do? Kept her on them, added more on, increased her doses, and even gave her weeks' worth of supply in advance sometimes. And they wonder why she became an addict. And when Tilly was handed over to CAMS and then to the adult services, it was more the same issues, but this time even worse. She now was legally an adult, which meant she suddenly had the freedom to do whatever she wanted, whenever she wanted. That is when her addiction to alcohol began. When she turned 18, she could buy all the drinks she wanted. And as that addiction got worse, so did her mental health. But with any addiction, it can be resolved with specialist treatment. But Tilly never had that opportunity. For example, her bulimia, which got worse and worse over time. Why was she never referred for specialist treatment for that? Why did the adult services never try to address it? If you look through the community health records, they hardly even mention it, despite it being obvious that she was severely underweight just by looking at her. Do you know how painful it is to watch your child have an eating disorder? Watching her fade to nothing before your very eyes. The coroner at the inquest even made a point of saying her body succumbed to the drug toxicity in part because she was so underweight. Her tiny body just couldn't fight the drugs in her system. And yet, despite the downward spiral that she took, EPUT and the adult services claim they did everything they could for my daughter. Well, if that is true, can you tell me this? If a patient is in the middle of a crisis, do you turn around and call them a spoilt brat? If a patient is being difficult or rude or finding it hard to engage, do you say to that patient, I just don't know what to do with you? If a patient is demonstrating signs of having a breakdown or airing their frustrations about feeling unsupported, do you put that down to them being hysterical and kicking off again? If a patient tells you that she feels dead inside and welcomes her demise, and that she's quite looking forward to her death, do you, as a mental health professional, encourage her thoughts? What about if a patient has taken an overdose so bad she ends up in a coma for 2 days? Do you just discharge her home without so much as a mental health assessment because she tells you she's fine and she won't do it again? And what about if she's been admitted to a mental health ward after yet another overdose and tells you after 1 day of being there, I'm fine now, I won't do it again? Do you simply let her go without any pushback? What if she's been admitted to the same mental health ward 3 times in the space of 3 months? All serious overdoses, do you let her discharge herself for the 3rd time in a row? Because she tells you, I'm fine now, I won't do it again. Does that sort of person sound like she's fine? Does it sound like she won't do it again? Does it sound like she's safe to be in the community? Well, that was the care my Tilly received. From CAMS, from the adult services, and from the inpatient hospital she stayed in. For 8 straight years, she was failed by the system. And when she died, the system determined they did everything that they could. On the 11th of December 2018, I am quoted in Tilly's community care records as having told her care coordinator that they had all given up on my daughter, and when she is dead, I'll personally invite them to her funeral. That was 14 months before she died. In that same month, I am quoted as having told the doctor assessing Tilly on the Edith Cavell ward at Basildon Hospital that Tilly is at high risk of killing herself because it was the second time that she had taken a massive overdose, and I would rather have Tilly sectioned than have to go to her funeral. That was 14 months before she died. On the 11th October 2019, I am quoted as having told Tilly's dad, who then told the care coordinator, that I know one day we're going to find Tilly dead in her bed. That was 4 months before she died. And they are the only warnings they have written down. As I said, I said these things not to upset anyone. I said because I was desperately trying to get them to know and warn them that I knew what was fast approaching. But no matter how much I said it, nobody seemed to take me seriously. I knew what Tilly was going through. I lived it with her. Her life became my life. Her fear became my fear. And her trouble became my trouble. I knew her best, and I knew it wasn't going to be long before she ended her life. I don't know how many more times I could have told them, or in what tone of voice I could have said it to get the message across. Nothing ever seemed to work. I felt alone, I felt unheard, and although I was nothing but an inconvenience and a nuisance to them. Tilly died on the 8th of March 2020, just 4 months after her 21st birthday. I was the one that found her, her lifeless body in her bed. No one could ever truly know what that feels like, to find your child dead in the one place on earth that is meant to be safe. You just will not know the pain unless you've been through the whole full impact and felt it. It's a grief that tears through your soul. It is an indescribable devastation. I called up the adult services team on the 9th of March, the very next day, to tell them that Tilly had died, and immediately they gave us we're sorry for your loss. What was that meant for me? What use was that to Tilly? And then 2 weeks later, I get a letter posted to Tilly informing us that she has an appointment booked for her medication review. That's how sorry they were. They couldn't even be bothered to update their system that my daughter had died. And just in case that wasn't enough, I also got a letter from the ambulance service, again addressed to Tilly, asking her to fill out the questionnaire about the treatment she received on the 8th of March 2020. Yes, the day she died. Asking her to complete a survey about how well they'd responded. And this was the only time she ever received such a document, despite all the years of her being taken by ambulance to A&E. one more thing I have to mention is the inquest, which ended up lasting barely half a day, was shocking. My daughter's 8-year battle with EPUT was compressed into just a few hours, and it only went ahead because I was let down by my family liaison officer. It was only after the inquest ended that I learned, for the very first time, that I could have had legal representation and could have requested to pause until corrections were made to a serious incident report. By the way, that had 151 discrepancies. The entire thing was a disgrace and caused me immense heartache. I felt lied to and abandoned. They treated Tilly as nothing more than a name on a piece of paper. It wasn't personalised at all. And I knew that this piece of paper was to be filed away and forgotten. And it breaks my heart because I knew that it was my last chance to seek accountability from those who had failed her. I already mentioned Tilly's relationship with her older sister, but she was adored by her younger sister and her cousins too. Her older cousin won't forget the day that he tried to give her CPR, screaming out her name, while tears rolled down his cheeks. He will forever be traumatised by that. And Tilly's younger sister really looked up to her. Tilly's passing has had a devastating effect on her. I've only just found out that the reason that she keeps her phone on Do Not Disturb is because Tilly used to call her. She said that with tears rolling down her face. When Tilly was alive, she would call me regardless of what time she was in crisis, said her sister. That was a huge burden for a child to have at the age of 12. I didn't know that was happening at the time, but I can see how it is added to the trauma of her losing her sister at that age. Tilly went through so much in her short life, but never deserved the ending she got. Her life was cut short. Before her time, her passing has robbed our family of more than a daughter. We lost a friend, a confidant, a source of comfort and emotional support. Tilly was robbed of the chance to have her own children and grandchildren and get married and achieve all she ever dreamed of. She was robbed of the chance to see her own daughter going swimming one day, or learning the violin, or dancing around in Disney costumes. I am here today because my daughter was failed by the very system that was meant to protect her. And now she will always be forever 21.
Lisa, thank you. I think at this stage we're going to see, I think it's 6 photos and 2 videos.
That artwork is when Tilly was in a good place.
Yes.
And that is Tilly at the bottom. This is her artwork when she was in a darker place. And so was this. This is while she was actually having art therapy.
Yes.
And if you can see the heart, what it says in the heart. That's her first birthday dress, which I've still got. These are her favourite boots. She wanted to make a statement. She wore those boots. She ended up in hospital once where she twisted her ankle where they were so high.
Because of the boots?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much indeed.
I'm
think
so
we've got
sorry,
short-
Chair. I think there's a video also.
This was a month before she died.
I see.
Self-taught. I miss hearing that. Coming from her bedroom.
It's my first day at school. Of the sun, it shines on me. God made the stars and God made me. I'm dead. I'm cute. So healthy, which I like you.
That was when she found out I was pregnant.
Tongue out at you. My name's Tia, and this is my birthday.
Oh, wow. Champion.
Let me just tell you some news. This is an important news lesson. Okay, Mummy, but I'll stay here for a bit longer. Okay. Next, I'll come back and then Dad, you can film some more of me. Okay?
Okay. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Yes. Christmas Day. Monday.
Lisa, thank you. Chair, I wonder if we could now take a break of around about 10 minutes before we start your substantive evidence, Lisa.
But before we do, can I thank you very much for the work you've done on that commemorative statement. It's very
Thank you.
moving.
Thank you for listening.
It's true.
Chair, thank you. Lisa, we're going to move now to your substantive evidence, and I've already taken you to a witness statement. You have a full copy of it in front of you. You know that the whole of that witness statement now stands as your evidence to this inquiry. And so you also know that what I do not intend to do is take you through it line by line.
Yes.
In any event, as you've explained, and certainly you and I have discussed, from where you are sitting, these are words, and you can do your best with your words, but there is nothing, unless it has been lived,
Yes.
that can truly explain the journey you are trying to explain to us today.
Yes.
For that reason, what we're going to do is take some points from this very detailed witness statement that are very important to you to talk through and to share publicly.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
So, Lisa, you've told us in your witness statement a little about how Tilly's mental health problems began to develop.
Yes.
And you've told us something in your commemorative evidence about her experience with CAMS and your experience
Yes.
of CAMS as her mother. In summary, you say that your experience with CAMS was terrible.
Shocking.
And I think one of the things you've told us is that given that Tilly was suffering at the young age of 13 with severe anxiety, the cancellation of appointments was disastrous.
It was disaster. I mean, not only did we struggle with the CAMS appointments, life in general, you know,
Yes.
getting on a bus was unheard of, and going to school.
Yes, going to school. So you had this anxious child. You could see that she was suffering.
Yes.
You thought, put in place the right help.
Yes.
Appointments were being made through CAMS, and as I understand it, sometimes you would put in all that work and reassurance of trying to get her to an appointment, and they would be cancelled very last minute, and sometimes when you had already arrived.
Yes.
The other principal issue, as I understand it, is that it is your very strong view that if we bear in mind that Tilly was 13 years old when she set foot inside a CAMS office.
Yes.
And she first attended there initially for problems sleeping.
Yes.
Looking back, you are able to say that it is your very strong view that her treatment under CAMS, in fact, set her on a path of chemical dependence.
Most definitely. One of her diary entries proves that she manipulated the therapist
Yes.
to get a week's worth of Zoplicone, to get a high.
Yes. You understand that Zopiclone is a sedative
Yes.
that was administered to her, I think, when she was 14 or 15
Yes.
for her sleep problems. But by the time she left the care of CAMS officially on her 18th birthday, she was firmly on a path of chemical dependence.
Firmly.
And not only that, as I understand it, Tilly was quite open about that with those treating her.
She was very open. That was Tilly. She said how she felt, and she wasn't embarrassed or shy to say what she, felt or anything. She
Yes.
had no filter sometimes.
No. She was open about the fact that she was becoming dependent on prescription medication.
Yes.
And I think later we will see that she went so far as to be open about the fact that without taking something, the words she used were that she felt dead inside.
Yes.
And in your mind, that ought have been a very clear red flag.
There were many, many red flags.
Yes.
I'll just quickly refer back to what the coroner said.
Of course.
When he was questioning the serious incident report, the health representative that was there at the inquest, he asked her, why wasn't this seen as a red flag?
Yes. What was the answer, as far as you can remember?
I'm not sure. I
That's
can't.
all right.
I wouldn't like to say something that wasn't said.
No, don't guess. I wondered. I bear in mind that you've already told us you were essentially alone at the inquest.
I had my friend with me,
Yes.
and Tilly's dad was there, but I wasn't aware of any help or support that I could have been given or was entitled to or could have had,
No.
because I was let down by my family liaison officer.
Yes.
And as I said, I'd only met the new one just before we went into the inquiry,
Moments before.
moments before.
I understand. We'll come to that. But also, we bear in mind, stating the obvious, that you were in the depths of grief at that time.
Yes,
Coming back to CAMS, I understand from your witness statement that there were some early incidents of self-harm, but that those escalated and became more frequent while Tilly was a CAMS patient.
yes,
And between the ages of, I think, 14 and 15, there came a series of inpatient admissions for Tilly that you've set out in your statement. There were 3 facilities over 2 years.
yes,
And my understanding is that ordinarily those admissions came about because of incidents of self-harm,
yes,
and you and Tilly's father then seeking help, asking for her to be assessed and admitted.
yes. We knew we couldn't keep her safe.
Yes.
We knew that we had to ask for help, and we trusted them.
Because they were, as you've explained, professionals.
Yeah, you know, that they're professionals. They're supposed to know what they're doing.
Yes.
But I mean, I do remember one man from the crisis team who said that he didn't want her to go into hospital because she would pick up bad habits.
Let's come to that. You tell us that. So there was a crisis support worker. I think Tilly's first admission was
Yeah.
to Rochford.
Yes,
And that was in May 2013.
Yes.
She was at the time 14 years old.
yes,
Before that admission, a crisis worker had said to you, this is not going to be a good place for
yes.
her.
She will pick up bad habits and she will learn things.
And Lisa, that is what happened.
It is what happened. It is what happened.
She learned, the way that you phrase it, is destructive habits from
Yes.
other older teens. And as you saw Tilly and knew her best, she was very vulnerable
Very vulnerable.
to that sort of influence.
Yeah. It was only after her death that I found out about the dark web.
I see.
And that's when she found out all about that as well, the dark web.
From her time at
Yeah.
Rochford. So she was 14 at that time, and there also came a little later in November 2014, her second inpatient admission as a child was to an adolescent unit, Thornycroft. Now, she was there for a few weeks, as I understand it, before being transferred to the Priory.
Yes.
And the reason she was transferred to the Priory is because you insisted on that transfer.
Yes. Well, the reason that she was put into Thornycroft was, as I was made or told, there
Yeah.
were no beds in Essex.
Yes.
So to keep her safe, she was sent to Thornycroft, which was 3 hours away.
Yes.
I didn't know what type of hospital it was until after she passed. I found out what it was. But the specialist who was looking after her stayed and saw me at the weekend and said that this place is no good for her. This isn't suitable for her.
Why was that? What was your understanding? Why did the consultant feel that it wasn't suitable? Because it was at the time, or your understanding is that it was an eating disorder treatment centre.
Yeah, I didn't know at the time it was an eating disorder
I see.
centre. I've only since found those things out, since like doing this and taking part in the Lampard Inquiry. It's I just thought it was a hospital in Stafford that looked after mental health children,
Yes.
patients.
Now, the particular relevance of the fact that it was, as you've discovered, a centre for those with eating disorders, it was an adolescent unit, but with that specialism, is that, and I think you've explained this, throughout her young life, Tilly was very underweight.
Yes.
At times dangerously so.
Yes.
I think at her lightest coming in just under 40 kilos.
Yes.
And suffered with both anorexia and bulimia.
Yes. They were part of a 8-year journey. I
Yes.
mean, all of those other labels that she got, these ones never left.
No.
They were on her shoulder the whole journey.
And that is incredibly important to you because of the relevance to the comments that were made at Tilly's inquest
Yes.
about her body's inability to process or to deal with
Yes.
the level of drugs that were in her system.
Yes.
Is it, you must tell me if I am understanding wrongly, but I think, first of all, you can tell us that throughout the whole of that 8-year journey, Tilly really received no specialist treatment to deal with those eating disorders,
None.
including while she was at Thornycroft.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that I'm really shocked about is, you know, she's had all these labels and everything, and medication for this and medication for that, but where was the help for the bulimia and anorexia?
Yes.
And if she didn't have issues with her weight, why would CAMS weigh her every time she went?
Yes.
And why would she say, I don't want to know, I can't see it, don't tell me?
So they took the step of weighing her, which tells you that that was an obvious concern.
Yes,
But provided no treatment in respect of her weight
yes,
or any disorder around eating. I think, is this right? When you were warned by the consultant at Thornycroft that the placement was not a good one for Tilly, that was on the basis you learned that she was picking up sort of tips from other inpatients about how to disguise those conditions.
yes, yes. Like walking round and round and round,
Yes.
things like that.
I understand that she wouldn't have known herself. You made a call to the local authority to ask for her to be relocated immediately for that reason.
Yes.
And I understand that she was then moved to the Priory.
She was moved to the Priory in Chelmsford.
So closer to home.
Yes,
Because we bear in mind that you were at the time a single mother
yes,
with 2 other daughters to care for.
yeah,
And so the period that Tilly spent at Thornycroft was a 6-hour round trip for you.
yeah. I didn't do it in 6 hours, I stayed overnight.
Yes. What about her time at the Priory? Is there anything in particular you want to tell us about that?
I find it really difficult for somebody who quite clearly had complex mental health needs,
Yes.
that they didn't really take on board what her mother said. And I was her carer,
Yes.
24/7,
And she was a child.
and she was a child. And I'll say it again as well, how does her illness know that she's turned 18
Yes.
and is capable of making these decisions?
All of a sudden.
All of a sudden, you know, 1 minute past midnight, her illness doesn't say, oh, she's 18 now, she can look after herself, she can make her own decisions, she knows best.
Let's come to that, because one of the things that you have raised major concerns over is the transition between CAMS and adult services.
Yes.
And I want to come to that, but let's take a look just so that we know how Tilly was at the time that that transition took place. Could you take a look, please? We don't need to read it out, we'll go through it together, but at page 6 of your witness statement and paragraph 14.
Yes.
Now, to summarise, here you have set out how Tilly was presenting at the time preparations were being made for her transition from CAMS to adult services.
Yes.
And what is recorded by the CAMS psychiatrist in summary is this: a 4-year history of low mood, persistent suicidal ideation, repeated acts of deliberate self-harm, intensely negative self-esteem. It's noted that Tilly was displaying features of an emerging emotionally unstable personality disorder. At D, it has been recorded that Tilly herself, in the open way that you and I have discussed, told professionals that her self-harm had become compulsive.
Yes.
And that at the bottom of that paragraph, D, CAMS reported that Tilly's risk of self-harm or suicide is easily triggered and should be considered to be, I think that's meant to say, chronically high.
Yes.
It goes on, although Tilly expects that she will kill herself, she does not profess any immediate intent. It's recorded that by that time, so as she was approaching 18, she had been on a long list of different medications, each one without benefit in the past. And at the time of referral, Tilly was on venlafaxine for anxiety and zopiclone and melatonin.
Yes.
And then we see over the page some records about her weight that you and
Yes.
I have discussed. Now, that all being recorded at the time, the other matters that were recorded that you go on to set out in the next paragraph, paragraph 15, is that it was considered by those professionals that it was essential that Tilly have a smooth transition from CAMS into adult services.
Absolutely.
That was recorded in terms.
Yes.
And you must tell me if I'm summarising badly, the opposite occurred.
I mean, wherever we would go, Tilly would always hold on to my arm,
Yes,
almost like holding my hand, really,
yes,
even at the age of 18, 19, 20, for reassurance that I was there. And I knew that they would have to approach her in a certain way and use a certain language, really, that wouldn't trigger her.
yes.
And it just seemed very matter of fact, like she was just another name on another document that was coming of age and was coming into the adult services.
Just somebody on a list.
Just somebody on a list that, you know, I'm seeing today on a Monday morning.
Yes. One of the things that's recorded, this is on page 7 at paragraph 15D, is that CAMS made an assessment at that stage of the risk to Tilly.
Yeah.
And says there, we do feel that Miss Bates, or Ms. Bates, I'm so sorry, may not easily be able to keep Tilly safe in the community, and therefore are recommending a planned admission to a local unit, if at all possible. This would be for Tilly's safety.
Yes.
So that is recorded about Tilly at age 17.
Yes.
And we'll go on to see that there came many times, I was going to say there came many times later when you would be put in the position of having to say to mental health professionals, I can't have her home.
Yes.
I cannot keep her safe.
Yes.
And you would be put in the position of having to push for a long-term inpatient admission
Yeah.
to keep her safe.
I was saying those things, that I cannot have her home and things like that, out of sheer fear.
Yes.
But I was led, or they made me feel like I was saying it because I didn't care.
I understand. And so what I pick up is that one of the most crucial things you want to note is that when you told professionals that,
Yes.
it wasn't because you didn't love Tilly and didn't want her home, it was because you did love her.
I did love her, and I didn't want what happened to happen.
Yes.
I wanted to keep her safe.
Yes.
I knew. I'd been on a course for parents of children who self-harm. I knew if I removed everything, if she wanted to, she still could.
She would find a way.
Exactly, yes.
Yes.
And obviously all the things she'd picked up in Rochford and Huntercombe as well. It was a very, very dark place for me, watching my daughter and trying to keep her safe.
Yes.
Can I just ask something? We've seen what was said by the psychiatrist at the time that transfer to adult services
Yes.
was being considered and planned for. Was there ever any suggestion of her going into inpatient care
No,
at that stage?
no.
And did you ask for that at that stage?
I just wanted her safe.
Yes.
So I would have probably asked for it, yes, because obviously as well, I had my younger daughter to think about.
Yes.
So you think you probably
Yeah.
would have said,
Yeah,
could
because
we perhaps think about inpatient care?
at that point, I'm watching somebody I love absolutely destroy themselves.
Yeah.
And as a mum to another mum, you will do your utmost to keep them safe.
I've got children myself.
You know, well, there was one time when I refused to take her home from Basildon Hospital in the children's department at A&E because she couldn't get assessed. So, and I knew I couldn't keep her safe. So I refused to take her home and I slept in the corridor at Basildon Hospital because I was so petrified that the services and everybody would then see me as an unfit mother and not doing the right thing.
And you were thinking, presumably also, about the effect on your other daughters.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. So, all these matters were recorded that for Tilly's well-being or for her welfare, a smooth transition to adult services was absolutely needed.
Yes.
And in fact, I think this is right. I'm taking it from your witness statement. Formally, obviously, Tilly turned 18 on the 23rd of October and became a formal patient of adult
Yes.
services. Thereafter, no care coordinator was assigned until well over a year later.
Yes.
So she spent almost 18 months with no care coordinator.
No. We'd have the appointments,
Yes.
you know, I think it's every 3 months or every 6 months, but other than that, nothing.
I understand. And in fact, I think you tell us later, and I do have this date correct and had to check it twice, that it wasn't until July 2019 that any risk assessment was carried out.
Yes. And again, I'm going to go back to the fact that that list of illnesses or labels that I read out to you,
Yes.
you know, she approached CAMS with maybe half of them, I can't remember.
Yes.
But so she was already a complex mental health issues.
Yes. Let's take a look at those. You list them at the top of page 8 of your witness statement. This is as Tilly was being transitioned, if we can put it in that way, into adult services.
Yes.
The CAMS psychiatrist had listed emotionally unstable personality disorder, mental and behavioural disorder due to polysubstance misuse, an unspecified eating disorder,
Yeah.
and an anxiety disorder
Yeah.
before transition into adult services.
Yes.
Now, if we could take a look, because you summarise this beautifully, if you can turn, please, to page 54 of your witness statement and to paragraph 186. Lisa, you must tell me, but I think this is a very neat summary of your overall impression of Brentwood's treatment of Tilly.
Yes.
You say there Tilly went 3 years under Brentwood's care without a single care plan or risk assessment.
Yep.
3 years despite repeated life-threatening overdoses and a clear escalation of her addiction.
Yep.
And you describe it as the most vulnerable and destructive period of her life.
Yeah. I mean, again, as a mother, I managed to keep her safe
Yes.
up until she was 18, because sometimes I was listened to. But then in that short time that she was with the adult social services, you can see the escalation
Yes.
quite clearly.
Let's come to that. I just want to note what you say there, and I think this does sum up your view of it, is that the treatment or lack thereof over that 3 years was reckless and utterly indefensible.
Yes. Yes, I mean, we've spoken about it, and you know and I know that, you know, she was being seen as disruptive and unengaging and unreliable, all sorts of things. They quite happily write that about her, but
Yes.
they don't say about all of her illnesses that led her to those emotions and those
Behaviours.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, we've said as well, the therapy was quite biased as well.
Quite biased.
Yeah.
Let's come to that, actually, because we're going to come on to... I want to talk through with you a couple of the things that occurred after Tilly had turned 18 and formally become a patient of adult services. Because one of the things, and I am going to come to this, is that what you have been able to... You knew it at the time.
Yeah.
But what you've been able to see looking back over the records is not simply a gradual escalation or gradual deterioration in Tilly's mental health, but a very substantial escalation in her addiction issues.
100%. She used her tattoos as ID. So if because she looked quite young for her age,
Yes.
if she wanted to go and buy alcohol, she would use her tattoos, because you have to be 18 to have them.
Yes.
So that proved that she was 18. And it was easy. It was out there. She didn't have to wait for an appointment.
No.
She didn't have to say the right words to the psychiatrist or whoever it was. She could just go
do
and
it.
get
Yes.
it.
And bearing in mind that she had already been expressing as a child and a patient of CAMS, that she had started to get into a position where she couldn't, it was very difficult for her to cope with being sober, essentially.
Yes.
Alcohol was then added into the mix at 18.
Yes.
But, so let's take a look, please, at paragraph 28 of your witness statement, and that's on page 10, Lisa. Because what we see here, you've set out over the next few pages. This is not a complete record of her appointments. Sorry, I'll wait for you to come to it. Not at all.
Yep.
This is not a complete record, but what you've done is taken some dates to highlight what was happening over the course of late 2016 and 2017
Yes.
in terms of the increases in Tilly's prescribed medication.
Yes.
So there you've highlighted a number of dates where she was under the care of Brentwood Adult Services,
Yeah.
where, if I can summarise it in this way, Tilly is continuing to be open about the fact that her mood is deteriorating,
Yeah.
her anxiety is escalating,
Yes.
things are becoming darker and darker. And at every one of these appointments, she requests increases in her medication
And gets them.
and gets them.
And fast release.
Tell us about that.
So, I don't know if that's the right word for fast.
Immediate release, maybe.
Immediate release,
Yes.
So she obviously has had that experience of the fast release, immediate release, as far back as CAMS.
Yes.
So that's why. I mean, how would she know to ask for that?
Yes.
How would she know to ask for immediate release? You know, you get your tablets from your doctor. You get. I wouldn't know. So is that something else that she learned?
Yes.
Being in the places that she quite clearly shouldn't have been in.
Yes.
And also, how come she got it every time she asked for it? Why wasn't there, we'll try a different approach?
Or some oversight, or is this working?
Yeah, this isn't working. We're not going to keep upping it. You know, we're going to try a different avenue, because quite clearly you need something different.
Because what you could see as her mother living this with her, and you tell us about it on page 12 at paragraph 29, is that actually during that period, as her prescribed medications were being increased and increased, you could see that everything was only getting worse.
Yeah.
So
She would isolate. She would become. She wouldn't get out of her bed. She would get asked to go places, but she couldn't go.
Yes.
A lot of her interaction with people was via social media, mobile phone, because she couldn't get dressed. She was just constantly exhausted.
yes.
Again, that's another side effect of some of the medication that she's on,
Yes.
is the drowsiness and the not, no
Lethargy
enthusiasm.
and a loss of motivation.
Yeah.
But also one of the other concerns that you raise is that, again, we've talked about Tilly being quite open with professionals
Yes.
who were treating her. These increases in her prescribed medication were continuing despite the fact that she was being open about her use of illicit
Yeah.
drugs.
Yeah, she was open about it. And yeah, they were just piling it all on top of somebody who quite clearly needed to get to the real bottom and the nooks and crannies of why have we even started off here?
Yes.
Which never happened. It was just, have another tablet, we'll up it, we'll give you the immediate release. Oh, go and buy some alcohol. It's shocking that health professionals knew that and were facilitating it for her.
Yes. And I think that ties into one of the other major problems that you identify as a factor in the escalation after Tilly's transfer into adult services, which is that because midnight had passed on her 18th birthday and she was now 18, you were essentially excluded from her care.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, she was explicit about her alcohol use. She was explicit about the sort of medication she wanted from them.
Yeah.
Was she explicit, just to be clear, was she explicit about using illegal drugs, non-prescription drugs?
Not to me, but to the professionals she was.
And you know that because?
It was in the SRI report.
Yes.
So she must have told them, because how else would they know?
So if I can assist you there, Chair, if we look, for example, at page 11 and paragraph D, the summary of records from the 8th of September 2017, in the middle of that paragraph, we can see that Tilly has told the doctor that she was now using cannabis, MDMA and cocaine once a week. and went on to report low mood and so on. So your understanding, Lisa, you didn't know it at the time.
No.
But from the records is that Tilly was explicitly informed those treating her
Yes.
that in addition to the prescribed medication, she was using quite a list of illicit drugs as well as heavy alcohol use.
See, and also, before she died, she'd been abstinent from those illicit drugs. She hadn't been taking anything for over a year. She had an app on her phone, and she was really proud to show me that app.
Yes.
But obviously, she had changed to alcohol, so she'd gone from the illicit drugs to the alcohol. And it wasn't until after she died that I realised or found out that she could easily order all of this off of the dark web.
Yes. So thinking about the factors that you've listed as contributing to the escalation, the medication obviously, and we've just been through that, the fact that because she was 18, you were formally excluded from her care.
Supposedly,
Yes.
until that other bit that we're going to talk about, the psychiatrist.
Yes, we'll come to that. In fact, I'll come to that now. Just to note the other things, and I think we have covered it, that you consider very obviously contributed to what was, in the end, a catastrophic escalation, was the lack of a care coordinator. And
100%. That she had nobody had her, well, apart from me and the family, had her back. There was no one there. There was no one there to guide her that she might need that service, or they've got these interventions that you can have, or we can do this to make that bit a little bit easier, or I'll come with you to the appointment. None of that.
And that is reflected in the fact that, so there was no one coordinating the care
No.
that Tilly might need, or building a relationship with her to sort of cross services and assist her. And I think a good example of that is the fact that despite a very long recorded history of addiction issues, Tilly's first appointment with any drug and alcohol service did not come until January 2020.
Exactly.
So,
And that was only 6 weeks.
yes,
She could only attend for 6 weeks. That's all you were allocated.
I see. It was a course of, what was it, group treatment or
Yes, group therapy.
Thank you. There's another matter that I think it's very important for us to note, which is that you tell us that when Tilly was moved into adult services under Brentwood, you, having understandably your own struggles, were under the care of a particular psychiatrist
Yes.
there. And the same psychiatrist was allocated to Tilly.
Yes.
Now, you go through this in considerable detail in your witness statement, and I think that some of the reports that have been prepared after Tilly's death essentially say this, do they? Well, they didn't complain.
Yes.
Nobody said it was an issue.
Yes.
And Lisa, your view of that answer is what?
Well, I was also told that there wasn't enough staff at the resource centre to give us our own.
I see.
So I was told that as well. I was also made aware that, you know, what I spoke about in mine was confidential,
Yes.
but what I spoke about in mine was Tilly.
Yes.
And why wasn't Tilly's confidential then? And also, why was her confidentiality while she was alive kept, but then when she died, they could say and write what they wanted?
Yes. I understand. I think one of the points you make, you must tell me if this is right, is that it's no answer to say, oh, well, they didn't complain, because you are not the professionals. It
I
shouldn't...
didn't know any different.
It shouldn't...
I took their advice. I listened to what they say. And also, you know, they did say that there wasn't enough staff for one each.
Yes, I understand. So, in fact, it was presented to you at one stage, at least, as a resource issue.
Yeah.
The actual knock-on effect of you and Tilly having the same psychiatrist, you tell us about in your witness statement. And is this right? It meant that Tilly, in your view, didn't have her own independent treatment that was wholly separate from her relationship with you.
Yeah, she knew when she went into that appointment, that woman was seeing her mum.
Yes.
And with Tilly and her trust issues, Tilly would also wonder just how much would be divulged, even though you say it's confidential.
Of course. So the safe and confidential space that it ought to have been was compromised, effectively.
And could that be another reason why she disengaged?
Yes. Let's talk about that, because I think we're going to come on to some of the very serious self-harm and self-harm incidents and some of Tilly's attempts to take her life. One of the threads that runs through your account of this period of Tilly's life and your experience is that very frequently, when you tried to seek further or better or additional help for Tilly, the response to you was something along the lines of, well, what are we supposed to do?
Yes.
She's not engaging.
She's not engaging. What are we supposed to do? Well, I wish I knew back then what I know now, because, you know, I would say it's your duty. It's your duty of care. You have, you know, you're failing her.
Yes.
You have a right. You take an oath to look after whoever you are going to look after.
Yes.
And how can you not take notice of a mother who has watched a child since the age of 13, who knows this mental illness,
Yes.
who understands it, who lives it? Why are her words unimportant?
Yes.
Why do you know better because you might have some letters after your name? Why do you know better because you might have done this course and read this case study and read this and read that? Why can't you take on board what a mum who feels, sees, sleeps, eats it?
Was there any time during the whole of this period that we are discussing that you felt, as Tilly's mother, that you were being heard?
No. I would just like to point out that I am a lasting power of attorney for my dad, medically, financially. He has dementia.
Yes.
I have rights. I can say things.
Yes.
Why it wasn't or isn't a child with illnesses like that seen the same?
Yes.
How can she make the right choices to protect herself? And I say no. I know what she's going to do, and they blank that. Yet if I have to make decisions regarding my father, I'm listened to.
Yes. And your point is, what is the difference?
What is the difference? What is the difference?
I understand. If we can, I'd like to come to quite a lot of what you set out for us is that, so we've been through what you observed in terms of an escalation and what might have contributed to that. And actually, one of the factors was that Tilly's attempts to harm herself or to end her life grew in both severity and regularity.
Yes.
So what we have, I think, from November 2017 right up until Tilly's passing are a series of Tilly either self-harming very seriously or making an attempt on her life being admitted
Yes.
via A&E because of her injuries
Yes.
to Basildon,
Yes.
and then being discharged very quickly, often within 24 hours.
Yes, because she said she wouldn't do it again.
Yes. So could we have a look, please, at page 44 of your witness statement, and at the top paragraph there, because we're going to come to some of those short admissions, Lisa, but your summary here is absolutely crucial, I think, and this is where you describe the vicious cycle of these repeated short admissions.
Yes.
Just take us through that if you can, or I can do it. Tell us, because this cycle was repeated over and over again, and there are certain stages that you take us through there.
Yes. Yeah, well, there were quite a few occasions, but there was one occasion when she was in intensive care
Yes.
on life support. I asked, I asked to speak to the mental health team who were going to assess her.
Yes.
I wanted to speak to them before they went to assess her.
Was this in November 2017? So this was following a very serious
Yes.
overdose,
Yeah,
and Tilly was placed in an induced coma.
yeah, she was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I mean, at that point, I didn't know how she was going to wake up,
No.
if she was going to wake up. Yeah, really quite shocking. I'd found something, and I wanted to make the mental health services aware of what I'd found. So I spoke to the head of intensive care, and he said he did question what I'd found and did ask a few questions about it. And I said that I would like to speak to the mental health team before they come and see her, because
Yes.
I know what Tilly's like. Tilly will say, "Oh, I'm okay now. You know,
Yes.
I'm all right. I didn't mean to. It was an accident or whatever," because that's what Tilly had learned to do.
Yes.
Tilly had learned to say the right thing in order to get herself out as quick as she could. So yes, it was an ongoing cycle. I never did get to speak to the mental health team. I
No.
never did get to share my point or to my concern, because Tilly was 18.
Yes. And I think on that occasion, the one we've just described, where Tilly was placed in an induced coma, that was the beginning of a series of these cycles of a life-threatening event occurring,
Yes,
Tilly being admitted for those injuries
yes,
and assessed,
yes,
Tilly minimising what had occurred,
yes,
knowing what to say, knowing
Yes.
what to do to get herself discharged,
yes.
and professionals taking what she said at face value.
Face value.
And I think,
Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Did anybody ever give you any explanation as to why you weren't being able to speak to psychiatrists?
No. All I got given was, she's 18 now. She's an adult. She makes her own choices. She makes her own decisions. I was never ever once told, she's got quite complex issues here, quite, you know, and they're not just a year. These are years. Nobody ever took that on board and said, you know what, we will listen to Mum. And Dad,
nobody-
you know.
Nobody ever approached you and
Nobody.
said, could we just ask you about...
No, I was just made to feel neurotic Mum. You know, I was made to feel that I was adding bits on. I was making bits up. You know, it really wasn't that bad.
And I think, so if we go to November 2017 and the event that we've just been speaking about, I think that was really the start of this cycle of short admissions, which was sort of a crisis reaction
Yes.
with the cumulative picture that was building
Yes.
never being addressed.
Never being addressed.
So it wasn't the case that there was one incident where a serious overdose occurred and then Tilly said, I'm fine, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm fine, and was discharged. There were a large number of those, and as far as you can see, at no point did any professional say, hang on, we've been here 5 or 6 times, let's have a look at what's happening here.
I think it was 3 weeks after one event, she was back in intensive care.
Yes. On that first occasion in November 2017, I just want to note, and you know, Lisa, that we're not going to refer to the amount, but Tilly had taken an overdose of mixed medication that was very substantial in terms of the amount of medication that she'd taken. And one of the things that I think remains unfathomable to you is that clinicians assessing her thereafter categorised the event as accidental and low risk.
Yeah. How can you categorise that amount? You know the amount, I know the amount.
Yes.
You know, how can you categorise that as an accident?
Yes.
How can you? There are no words. I just do not understand how someone can stand there and go, yeah, okay, so that happened to you. You've been in an induced coma, you've this, you're that. Oh, but it was an accident.
Yes. There is one occasion that I'm keen to take you to. You've described it in detail in your witness statement, and this was after a very serious self-harm event in October 2018, when, in fact, even the language used is important, because what you have found is that some of the records use quite minimal phrases around Tilly's injuries, but in fact the A&E records reflect reality, which is that she had attempted to slash her throat.
Yes.
Now, in the aftermath of that event, you tell us about an assessment that took place by a trainee psychiatrist.
Yes.
If you want to take a look at it, you don't need to, but so that you know where I am, we're looking at page 21 of your witness statement and paragraph 63. So, following that injury, Tilly had been admitted, just to set it in context, on the 16th of October 2018. Mm-hmm. And as was the pattern, within 2 days she was asking to be discharged.
Yes.
Your experience, other than this one, is that, well, other than this one for that day, I should say, was that when Tilly asked to be discharged, whatever had happened and whatever her injuries were, it would occur.
Yes.
But on this occasion, and you do highlight this as what you consider to be an example of good practice.
Yes. When I saw that, I was, someone has got their eyes open.
Yes.
And has got their ears open and is seeing past it, past her mask.
So what happened on this occasion is that Tilly said all the things she would ordinarily say.
Yes.
I'm fine now, I felt low. Or sometimes she would say, I had a bad breakup, or
yes.
I won't do it again.
Yeah.
And those words would be taken at face value. On this occasion, you see from the notes, and they're set out in your statement, that this trainee psychiatrist thought very hard about what lay behind Tilly's words.
Yes, she did.
Had another clinician present to take a second opinion from.
Yes.
And gently but appropriately probed what Tilly was saying.
Yes.
Did her due diligence.
Yes, she saw past the sweetness and the even Tilly learnt what language to use.
Yes.
What they would like to hear.
Yes.
So she saw past it and she questioned it.
Yes. She's even recorded that Tilly appeared overly polite.
Yes.
And knew all the right things to say.
Yes.
And to you, I think I'm right in saying that that is the only time in your experiences as you lived them at the time or in what you've looked at in the records that a clinician was prepared to look past what Tilly was saying.
Yeah.
That trainee psychiatrist then decided, she essentially persuaded Tilly to stay as a
Yes.
voluntary patient,
Yes.
but recorded her decision, which was that should Tilly press it or push for discharge, then she should be sectioned.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Tilly was certainly engaging there, wasn't she?
Yes.
So because that was being approached in the right way, with the right language and even body language.
Yes.
You know, when you use the wrong body language to somebody that's struggling emotionally and mentally is detrimental.
Yes. The effect of her, of the trainee doctor working with Tilly in that way was that Tilly agreed to stay because she didn't want to be sectioned.
Yes.
And what you've recorded is that, to your horror, at the next assessment the following day,
The very next day, less
Tilly-
than 24 hours.
Tilly repeated what she would ordinarily repeat
Yes.
and was discharged.
And was allowed to go home, discharged.
And as far as you can see from the records, nobody the following day took account of either the sort of agreed plan that had been made,
Yes.
which was that if Tilly sought discharge again, she should be sectioned.
Yes.
That had sort of disappeared into the ether.
Yes.
Nobody took account of the information that you had given directly to that trainee psychiatrist
Yes.
about your inability to keep Tilly
her
safe
safe.
at home. It was as though all of that had not occurred.
And my question is, how has that person the next day have moral authority over what was decided that afternoon?
Yes.
Why was that, not taken seriously enough to think, well, actually, no, we need to keep you here a bit longer? Why was it just because she said the right thing and
Yes.
appeared calm and appeared in a sweet little manner that it was different? What didn't they see
Yes.
that lady the day before did see? And why didn't they see it if they all have the same training?
Yes. And thereafter, I think there were a number of similar events, and as far as you know, there was no professional at any of the rest of the short admissions Tilly had.
No.
There was no professional who did what that trainee psychiatrist in October 2018 had done again.
No. That's the first and last in her 8-year journey.
Yes. And after it, the cycle that you've described continued.
Cycle just kept going round and round and round.
Yes. One of the things I want to note is that obviously as her mother, you were at the time and throughout seeking help for her with increasing desperation.
Yes.
And
Because I was watching it unfold
yes,
in front of my own eyes. I was watching the failure, and I could never understand why the root cause. Why isn't that being looked at? Why isn't it being dug deep into? Why is it just a few sessions here and a few sessions there?
Yes.
Why did it take that long for a care coordinator?
yes,
Why did or why were they allowed to talk to her in a certain way? Why was that acceptable? Would they let someone talk to them like that?
I understand. One of the things that I think is important to highlight is that you were never suggesting that mental health services were doing nothing. What you observed is that frequently, as we've discussed, the fact that Tilly was chaotic, if I can put it in that way, in
Manic, her care coordinator used.
Manic. All right. But in terms of, she didn't always attend appointments. She didn't always attend art psychotherapy. She didn't always engage. But I think your view is this, right, is that that was used as some sort of shield by mental health services to defend the fact that what they were doing wasn't in fact working.
But Tilly actually asked her care coordinator if she could have later appointments.
Yes.
Because I think you've seen one of her diary entries where it says how she struggles to get up in the morning and how she struggles to just do the everyday things that you just do first thing in the morning.
Yes.
And that is a side effect of the medication.
Yes.
She asked her care coordinator for later appointments. I said to the care coordinator, let me know the appointments as well,
Yes.
and I can help make sure that she turns up.
Yes.
I give you permission. Tilly gave her permission to call me.
Yes.
We know that for some time she didn't have a care coordinator. Who would you be able to talk to before then? I mean, I'm thinking about, for instance, the discharge you talked about in October 2018, where somebody had identified the masking that she was engaged with. Mm. Was there anybody at that time that you could say, why have you let her out? Why don't you consider it again? Did you have anybody you could...
No. As you've probably heard many times, it's a very, very lonely journey as a parent. Mm. And you feel like you are the only one. It's only after you find out that so many other people, at the same time as you, are going through what you've gone through. But you're just not told about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thinking about what you said just now about it seemed to you that nobody ever addressed the root cause.
Yes.
What had caused Tilly to become so unwell.
Yes.
And my understanding is that although you and she were under the same psychiatrist and we've been through the obvious problems that caused, very little was done in terms of either treating addiction.
No, nothing.
Or treating eating disorders.
Absolutely nothing.
Or talking therapies. And in fact, having been set down a path of what you see very clearly as chemical dependence, Tilly became stuck on it.
Yes.
Could we just have a look, please, at page 10 of your witness statement and paragraph 26? I think it's relevant, Lisa, because you were talking a moment ago about Tilly's diary.
Yes.
And this is an entry about the inadequacy or lack of therapy and talking therapy, because we've just been referring to your view that nobody sought to understand why this was happening.
Yes.
I was going to read that section, or would you like to read it as it comes from Tilly's diary?
If you can read it, but there is one part that I don't want read right out.
Fine. I won't then. I understand. Essentially what she says is that across the whole of those years, nobody ever addressed with her what the real issues were.
No, they didn't.
It was a sort of chat. How have you been this week?
Yes.
And never went below that surface level.
No.
Was that also true? We've heard, obviously, there was a delay in allocating a care coordinator to her. But tell us about the relationship between them when that did happen. Was there some sort of therapeutic or supportive relationship built?
No. As we're sitting here, I've had another memory come forward of
Yes.
when we actually had an appointment at the adult centre, and
Yes.
we sat for, I think it was a good hour, waiting to be told apparently we had the wrong day.
Right.
Again, that would be another reason why Tilly wouldn't be able to engage with his care coordinator,
Of course.
because it's hard. There's so much I would love to say, so, but obviously I have to be careful, and I'm not allowed to say too much about the individual, the person.
No.
But it didn't seem in a professional sort of way. I mean, Tilly had a little part-time job
Yes.
in Superdrug, and that professional would go and approach her in
While she was at work.
Well, yeah,
I see.
yeah. Whether that was her way of building up,
Some sort of rapport.
yeah, or not, I don't know. But depending on the day, Tilly might not have wanted to see that woman. Tilly,
No. And possibly not while she was working.
yeah,
I understand. I think the overall point is, although there's obviously there's a major concern about the absence of a care coordinator over a very extended period of time, the actual result of a care coordinator being allocated did not, in your view, in fact, assist.
no, it didn't. It hindered.
How did it hinder?
There was no rapport. There was no connection. There
Yes.
was. I guess she'd waited so long. She probably thought, "What's the point anyway?"
Yes. There came several occasions, I think, where you would call, or Tilly would call, the care coordinator during a period of utter crisis.
Yes.
To find that she was on leave.
Yes.
And there was no substitute care coordinator
No.
during those periods.
Or if there was, you would have to go through the whole story again.
I see.
The whole,
From the beginning.
from the beginning. There wasn't that continuity there
No.
of having to go through it.
Yes.
If you're meant to care and you're a care coordinator, at least know something about who you're looking after.
Of course. And I think the other thing I wanted to note is that we've talked a little about the thread that runs through some of these records and and communication with you about Tilly disengaging and, well, she doesn't come and she's got to engage. And I think, is this right, Lisa? Your point is that the obvious problem, given that there were so many short admissions, it was a sort of crisis response, and then she was discharged.
Yes.
That included life-threatening attempts.
Yes.
Detention under Section 136,
Yes.
when the police took her,
Yes.
couldn't be more serious, and yet nothing changed.
Nothing
So
changed.
is this right? Your point is that it wasn't that nothing was being done, it was that nobody stopped and thought, we need to have something of a reset because
Yes.
what we are doing is not working.
Yes.
And equally, no one thought, perhaps that's why this young woman is not engaging.
Yes. It's almost like they've only got one approach. Mental health illness is unique to that individual. So that one approach might not work for that one.
Yes,
Might not work for that one. Let's try a different way.
yes,
That's what I say about the serious incident report. Wasn't personalised. It was a template filled in.
yes. And as you said, I think you counted 151 errors.
Discrepancies,
Yes.
errors. And when I discussed it with the head at Basildon, I even questioned if it had been proofread, because there was so many mistakes.
When you had that report, when it was provided to you and before the inquest, is this right? Although you were well aware of all of the errors in it, it became clear to you that it was being used as the basis of events for the inquest, and you were not legally represented.
Yep.
You were not aware that you could have legal representation.
That's right.
You were not aware that you could ask for the SI report to be corrected before the inquest went ahead.
Well, I knew it wasn't enough time for it to be corrected. The lady said we could put a short paragraph in the front.
Yes.
She said, didn't she? A short paragraph in the front. And I questioned, I said, but you've portrayed Tilly to be a person she absolutely isn't.
Yes.
People are going to read that information, make their mind up, but have a short paragraph in there that says that this little bit, that's wrong, and that's wrong.
Yes.
I want each page, each section corrected.
Yes.
So, as I said, her inquest went ahead with the wrong serious incident report.
Yes.
So the coroner would be referring to, like we are, but it was wrong.
Yes. I want to, Lisa, we've been running now for, I think, around about an hour and 15 minutes. It goes quickly, doesn't it? What I think I'd like to do is, as long as you're content, and of course, as long as the chair is content, is just take you now to discuss the potential referral to the castle.
Yes.
And then I'm going to suggest that we perhaps take a break before we move on to your recommendations.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
So the castle is, you understand it to be what kind of facility?
Now I know it as an eating disorder hospital.
Yes. If we look, please, at page 38 of your witness statement and at paragraph 125.
Yes.
What we see there, bearing in mind that we saw recorded by CAMS much earlier, when Tilly was much younger, that there were signs of an emerging personality disorder.
Yes.
The castle is recorded here as a specialist personality disorder service. And it's my understanding that it first came to be mentioned as a possibility for Tilly in around about May 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I understand it, at that time, Tilly she had a care coordinator in place, and she also had an art psychotherapist.
Yes.
Both of whom, in May 2018, began to flag very serious concerns about the fact that things were not improving.
Yes.
Now, you know that a referral was made in around about May 2018 for the castle to consider admitting Tilly.
Yes.
And Tilly was aware of it at the time.
Yes.
Is it right that she became very keen on that idea?
Yes. She didn't want to carry on like this.
No.
You know, she wanted to feel better.
Yes.
She wanted to do what normal 16, 17, 18-year-olds would quite happily go along and do.
Of course. She wanted to be well.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that the discussions about it, she was quite keen on that because she saw it as specialist treatment that might help her.
Yes.
And perhaps lift her out of the
Yes.
crisis response.
Yes.
Now, importantly, what you know now but did not know at the time is that there was contact between Brentwood and the castle,
Yes.
but that in August 2018, that facility made very clear to Brentwood
Yes.
that in order to be accepted at the castle, Tilly would have to very substantially reduce her use of illicit drugs and alcohol.
Yes.
As far as you are aware, that fact and that sort of criteria or condition was never communicated to Tilly.
She wasn't prepared for it. She
No.
wasn't, like, if they knew that, why did they wait until January 2020
Yes.
for her to have the treatment that she needed to reduce it?
Yes.
Why didn't they prepare her so that she would be ready
Yes.
to go in if they knew that that was the criteria?
One of the things I think you've asked yourself is whether, in that way, your daughter was almost being set up to fail.
Yes, I have asked that. They knew she wouldn't meet that criteria
Yes.
because how open she was on taking the recreational drugs.
Yes, that was
And
not
the
something she
alcohol.
hid.
She didn't hide it.
Do you think it is possible, and we'll never know, but do you think it is possible, looking back, that given that Tilly was quite keen to take that placement, that if she had known that there was that conditional criteria, it might have served as motivation for her to reduce her use of illicit drugs and alcohol?
Yes, I do. Tilly was just as tired of
Yes.
this hamster wheel
Of course.
as we all were. Tilly didn't know any different in the end. It was becoming her normality.
Yes. In fact, she was not accepted for placement at the castle.
She had 2 assessments, and no, she wasn't.
That news came to her by letter on the 7th of March 2019.
Yes,
And it's your view, I think, that given how much it had been discussed between Tilly and her care coordinator and others responsible for her care, they would have known
Yes.
that that rejection was devastating to her.
yes,
Nonetheless, as I understand it, no contact was made after she received that letter by any of those caring for her for 15 days.
yes, for 15 days after. And you just saying the date, the 7th of March 2019.
Yes,
A year later, she died.
yes. Chair, as long as you are content, I was going to propose that we take a 10 or 15-minute break now.
Thank you.
Chair, thank you. Lisa, before the break, we were talking about the fact that the castle, having assessed Tilly, decided that it was not going to be an appropriate placement for her.
Yes,
And one of the things I wanted to mention was that you have become aware from records, looking back over records, that one of the other places that was then being considered by Brentwood was the Maudsley.
Yes, but I didn't find that out until after Tilly passed.
No. So it's not something that anyone discussed with you at the time?
No.
As far as you are aware, did anyone discuss the possibility of the Maudsley as a sort of backup plan or a plan B at the time?
With Tilly?
Yes.
I think Tilly's disappointment with Cassell wouldn't have been as bad if she'd known that there was a backup.
Yes.
Had she been aware of that, she wouldn't have pinned all of her hopes and dreams on the Cassell.
Yes. But she didn't know.
She didn't know.
And in any event, it doesn't appear from the records that anybody did anything other than consider the idea of the Maudsley. Yeah. And one of the things you say is that they always appeared to be considering things.
Yes.
But not doing.
Not doing things.
Any of the things.
Yes.
I want to make clear, because you have made it very clear in your witness statement, that it wasn't simply, I think the way I might have put it before the break when we were talking about it was that Tilly was keen on going to the castle. In fact, I think it was her last hope.
Yes. She knew that, you know, she'd gone around and around and around and around in circles, and nothing was changing.
Yes.
No approach towards her, no medication, just increased.
Yes.
Nothing was changed.
Yes.
So who wouldn't pin all their hopes up on something that might work?
Something different.
Yes.
A different approach.
Yeah.
Yes. You've noted that rejection letter, I'm calling it a rejection letter.
Yes.
It was kinder than that, I think.
Yes.
But it was effectively a letter that said, I'm afraid no. Came through on the 7th of March, almost a year to the day before Tilly's passing.
Yes.
And you've also told us earlier that by the time that Tilly died, she had been clean of drugs for
Yes.
quite some time.
Yeah.
She was still very much addicted to alcohol.
Yes.
But you want to be clear, and it's reflected in the coroner's remarks, that what happened to Tilly was that her body succumbed because she had had a period clean of drugs
Yes.
to drug toxicity.
Yes.
I'd like to turn, we're going to go through the recommendations that you've set out, but I'd like to turn first, please, to what you tell us about Tilly's last appointment with her care coordinator. And that came, there was a phone call on the 27th of February, 2020.
Yes.
And then a visit to Tilly from her care coordinator the following day, the 28th.
Yes.
So if you take a look with me, please, we're at page 46 of your witness statement. And it's paragraph 158.
Yes.
Now, what Tilly had said to her care coordinator during their call on the 27th is recorded at the paragraph above,
Yeah.
that she had no faith with anyone anymore and did not feel she was receiving the support she needed.
Yep.
A visit took place the next day from the care coordinator at 9:30 a.m. And you've listed out there, and I think we will go through those, what the care coordinator noted at the time.
Yes.
So first of all, she records Tilly's behaviour in this language, rather hysterical.
Yeah.
Your view of that type of language about Tilly's mental state is what?
It's shocking because she's clearly in crisis.
Yes.
She's clearly crying out for help. If it comes across as hysterical, why didn't the care coordinator see that?
Yes.
You know, why would you say, oh, you're hysterical? Why wouldn't you say, I can see you're upset
You are suffering.
and you are suffering. How can we deal with this?
Yes. And if we go on, Tilly explained that she had not slept for 2 days.
That's right.
She had not had any proper food for over 3 days.
That's right.
She was living on lollipops, I think.
Yes.
She said that her father had paid for her to see a psychoanalyst,
Yep.
but she'd only seen that professional once.
Yeah, just once.
And then the list of sort of what I think you see as very clear warnings goes on. She told her care coordinator that all her friends had abandoned her,
Yes.
that she had disengaged with all of them, and that she considered that she had agoraphobia.
Yep.
You have told us that she struggled to go out and to engage with the world.
Yes.
By this time, the 28th of February, we can see that has reached a severity point of crisis.
Yes.
She felt she needed independent living support.
Yes.
And that, am I right, to you reflects the fact that Tilly was trying to say to her, I can't function.
Yes.
She was not complying with her medication and said so,
Yes.
and said that she disagreed with her diagnosis.
Yes.
Now, what's recorded there is that she disagreed with her diagnosis of bipolar personality disorder. That's not something I had seen before in the
No.
records, Lisa. Do you think that's an error?
I think that might be an error, yeah. I haven't seen that.
No. And as far as you are aware, Tilly was never given a diagnosis of bipolar disorder.
No.
No. And
I
then
think...
Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, with all of her diagnosis and all of her different illnesses, I do feel that there's one that should be there that isn't now.
Right.
And I think she would have been seen a lot differently with this one. I don't know if I spoke to you about it before.
Tell us now. What do you think it is?
I truly believe that Tilly did show signs of autism. I really do. I mean, I work within the education system.
Yes.
And I do see a lot of different, I don't want to call them traits, but different...
Yes. Neurodiverse traits and different symptoms.
And if you look at her story and look at the start to finish, a lot of it is under that umbrella.
Yes. Is that something that you thought at the time, or is it something you're thinking now, looking back over it
Looking
all?
back.
Yes, I see.
Yeah, looking back. I mean, I was quite shocked looking back as well how many labels she actually was given.
Yes.
And still being treated as disengaging and
Yes, or a hysterical
woman.
and yes.
You know, it's just shocking that someone can get that far in their illness and be spoken about in that way.
Yes. Yes, we'll come to that, the use of language, because it's very important. If we go to the very bottom paragraph at page 46, this is also important. What we say is that the care coordinator, Tilly kept repeating and then turning the page that she has no suicidal thoughts, but felt like bashing her head in and was not frightened of the physical pain anymore. Now, to you, those two things don't go together.
No.
Tilly was plainly saying, I'm not frightened of hurting myself anymore.
Yeah.
So whether or not she was also saying, I don't have any suicidal thoughts, the two things don't sit together.
They don't sit together.
Yes. Particularly worrying to you, apart from the inappropriate use of language and calling her hysterical in her presentation, is that what is also recorded, this is quoted in paragraph 159 of your witness statement, is that the care coordinator overall had no significant concerns on Tilly's appearance, as she did not look any different to how she always had.
That's after she's just said that she's appears hysterical,
Yes.
not eating, not sleeping, not going out, but she seems herself. So if she seems herself, that shows you how ill she was.
All is not well. Yes. Do you think there was some, given the severity of Tilly's condition by then, do you think there was some aspect of her care coordinator and others treating her becoming sort of desensitized to how unwell she was?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. They weren't seeing the clearer picture. Perhaps if new eyes had looked in on it,
Yes.
they would have, seen more. And again, Tilly's illness became our normality.
Yes.
So,
But what is reflected here is that it became normality for treating professionals
yes,
in such a way that they felt able to record, perhaps in better words, well, everything is as dreadful as it has always been.
yes, yes.
That's really the effect of that, isn't it?
It is definitely that. There's no change
Right.
in 8 years.
And to you, that makes it more pressingly urgent, not less.
Yes,
If you turn the page, please, I just, before we go on, want to cover this with you. What you have learned is that as part of the root cause analysis investigation, I'm looking, Lisa, at paragraph 165 on
Yes.
page 48. What you have learned to your alarm is that after that visit on the 28th of February, the care coordinator did alert the team doctor
yes,
to what had happened during the visit.
yep,
And what records have showed you is that when being asked about that for the purposes of the root cause analysis investigation report, the team doctor explained that it was not the case that the doctor had been informed that Tilly was not eating or not going out. In fact, what the doctor was informed by the care coordinator was, in this language, that Tilly was kicking off again.
again, yes,
And to you, and you've put it in terms, understandably, that language, to summarise the matters we've just
Yes.
been through, is disgusting.
yes, it's inappropriate.
Yes. You've told us about the circumstances in which Tilly died and the contact you had had with the trust thereafter.
Yes,
And I want to move, Lisa, as long as you're content, because they're very important, to the section of your witness statement where you set out the things that you think need to change.
yes, please.
So those start on page 56 at paragraph 195. And you have set out over the course of the next few pages very carefully thought through, very detailed recommendations for change. And I want to note that in all of our discussions and our meetings, that what you express is that the reason you have done that is because part of your purpose and part of what drives you is the hope that other mothers will not now be sitting where you are sitting today.
Yes, I'm really passionate about that.
Thank you.
Because I think I felt so alone on that journey.
Yes.
That's why I thought so long and hard about this, because if any of these recommendations are taken forward, that means another human being isn't feeling the pain that I'm feeling.
Yes. Thank you. Let's go through these together. So you've grouped them into sort of themes, and the first, at paragraph 195, the first section comprises recommendations about the individual patient.
Yes.
Take us through those, please. So at A, I think we might have covered this. What you're warning against is a sort of blanket or one-size-fits-all approach.
Yes. Yes. I saw so many times that it wasn't like individualised. It wasn't just another name and another file, and I'm looking after you today. You know, it's one of the things I really pride myself on when I'm working is I get to know that child.
Yes.
And I get to know how and what might affect them.
Yes.
I didn't see that.
No. And it is what you're looking for is tailored, specialised
Yes.
care that suits that person, that
Yes.
human. Next, and we've talked about this a little, you describe how strongly you feel that it's so important to be careful in the use of language
Yes.
with mental health
Yes.
patients. Is there-
They have such a low opinion of their self and self-worth and self-belief, and, you know, if someone talks to you in a detrimental way, that only adds to what they're already feeling.
Of course. Next, importantly, and we have covered this, the ability of staff to recognise masking.
Yes.
Is there more that you want to say about that now?
How, or is it even in their training? The examples and you know, the body language, everything. It's not just about reading or writing down the notes, and it's about how they present themselves.
Yes.
And to know that with someone who has got a mental health issue, there are going to be side effects with that.
Yes.
And just because they have said the right word doesn't mean they're feeling it
Yes.
or thinking it.
Yes. And that it's almost inherent and should be expected that a person who is so unwell might say something
Yeah.
to minimise the situation
Yeah.
or achieve something that might not, in fact, be in their best interests.
And my question is as well, if it is in the training and they are, you know, that is part of what they learn, why was it used here?
Yes.
Why was it acceptable to use it on my daughter?
And if they had had an individualised approach to her care,
They would have known,
that she was masking.
yeah, and she's, I can't say the right word, susceptible to, she picks up on body language and
Yes.
things that were said and the way they're said.
And as we've noted, and we spent a little bit of time on it, in all of those 8 years, you saw one professional, or you have learnt of one professional who did not take Tilly's words at face
Yes.
value.
Yeah, just one professional.
You also suggest that community mental health teams should have a 24-hour helpline that is answered.
Yes.
What was your experience that leads you to make that recommendation?
Well, if it was in between the hours of 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, you would get an answer. If not, it's go to A&E,
Yes.
or ring the Samaritans, or, you know, ring another agency. But, I mean, come on, when someone's in crisis, are they going to think, oh, I need to ring that number?
Yes.
They're not thinking of that.
No.
They're thinking of what they want to achieve or what they want to happen.
Yes. Thank you. And then last in that section, you say that services should be preemptive, not reactive.
Yes,
And this ties into a lot of what we have covered about a sort of quick crisis response back to normal, and another, and another.
we used a terminology just now, just put a plaster on it,
Yes.
just put a plaster on it, just put a plaster on it, but not get down to what we need. We might need more than just a plaster.
And deal with the wound.
Yeah,
Yes. And what you never saw was proactive treatment or
No.
preemptive treatment that joined all the dots
No.
and that had sort of umbrella oversight of all of Tilly's very complex needs
Yes.
and difficulties.
There was never a smooth path. There was always something that would upset the path.
Yes.
For instance, someone being off ill, so you have someone else, so you have to go through it all again. Then your time's up, so you have to go.
Yes. I think at times it might be fair to say that there was no path.
No.
You just stumbled about hoping that someone would set you onto one.
Which nearly happened with that lady.
Yes. Looking at the next section where you're dealing with CAMS treatment and community teams, your first recommendation is that the length of time between appointments needs to be minimal.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I get that the system is broken. I understand that. And I understand that there are many, many children and many, many adults that are suffering now. More staffing, more training, and dedicated staff to dedicated labels,
Yes.
so that one member isn't trying to fit and look after 3 different, 4 different, with all different varying needs.
Yes.
Maybe I don't know.
You've suggested at the top of the next page, page 57, that CAMS should always introduce a family liaison worker to act as essentially coordinator between the child and the mental health service.
Yes.
To you, I think that seems an obvious gap. Is that fair?
Yes, hugely. We get people who advocate for people.
Yes.
Why haven't these children got that?
In the same way that you were explaining about advocates for, or I think it's elsewhere in your statement, I'm so sorry. In fact, it's here, we'll come on to it. You talk about the fact that advocates should be more widely used in the way that they are for Alzheimer's or dementia patients.
Yes. Yeah.
And that support and that voice can be invaluable in assisting those patients.
And that advocate could be the only constant, because the other employers or whatever could be changing
Come
or
and go. Yes.
An advocate hopefully would be there, and they build up that trust.
Yes. The other recommendation that you make at the top of page 57, and this ties in with what we have said about those occasions on which Tilly's care coordinator was off on leave.
Yes.
You consider that it should work a little bit like it does in schools, that if a teacher is off, a substitute is naturally ready to take the class.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Because again, no one knows what that person's been through to actually attend that appointment.
Yes.
To attend it when they suffer with anxiety, what effort it takes to actually get up and get out of bed.
And get there, yes.
And get there.
In the next section about mental health inpatient facilities, we've talked a little about advocates, but I think here your key points relate to some of Tilly's early inpatient admissions as a child, and there you recommend that it should be a priority that inpatient admissions are local to the family.
Yeah.
And that proper checks have to be made as to whether or not the environment in that inpatient facility is appropriate.
Yeah. I mean, for Tilly to go to that hospital that was 3 hours away, she already knows in her head that I'm 3 hours away.
Yes. And then at paragraph 198, Lisa, you're dealing with A&E departments.
Yes.
Bearing in mind what you have said, which is that if you ring a crisis line out of hours,
Yes.
generally the first recommendation is to go to A&E.
Yeah.
And you therefore consider, if that's where patients are going to be directed when they're in crisis, that when they do get there, there should be a safe, supportive space to accommodate them.
Yes. We was put in a long, thin room at Basildon Hospital, and we had to wait there. That was lonely. You felt no one... In fact, you felt forgotten about because you're in no one's vision.
Yes. And then finally, you have a section about what should be done for the parents of those with mental health problems. And you ask that consideration be given to recommendations about free classes to help parents who are generally not medical professionals.
Yes.
Assistance in educating parents so that they don't feel so isolated and that they're not questioning themselves about whether they're taking the right path.
I mean, this is becoming an epidemic, isn't it, with this mental health? There are so many children and adults out there suffering. So surely provisions to help the family and the wider ripple effect support would benefit so many people. Because otherwise you are just out there on your own.
Yes, and that in turn has an effect on the child or young person you are attempting to support.
Yes.
You consider that when a child turns 18 and leaves the care of CAMHS, there should not be an automatic switch off where parents' views are no longer sought or your input is not valued. Because I think, putting it very frankly, you consider that represents a danger to that child who's just become an adult.
You spend 4 years, 3 years keeping your child safe.
Yes.
To then hand over to the adult services who are meant to... I mean, after all through this, she's still my child.
Yes.
She's 18, but she's still my child. And for like I say, 3 years before that, or 4 years, I could keep her safe. So I obviously was doing something positive.
Yes.
So handing over to the 18-year-old, she couldn't keep herself safe.
No.
So why was it just not enough to listen to a mother's voice?
Yes.
And dad's, father's voice as well.
Yes, I understand. Support networks in general, close family. You also point out that parents in the situation that you were in have to take time off work to accommodate appointments.
Yes.
There is an effect on the whole of the family.
Yes, there is.
And I think, is this fair? You consider that there has to be a sort of cultural shift about that and some understanding as to the toll it takes on you.
Yes. Yes. Luckily, I had, understanding boss and everything. But even moving forward, and if you wanted to find a new job, the gaps in your employment that you've taken to look after your child, you have to explain.
Yes.
And then you're divulging that you've been through issues with the mental health side of things, and then that fetches along the stigma.
Yes.
Oh, are they going to be reliable? Are they going to turn up? Are they... I don't know. I just feel that it's sad that has to go on after you've lost a loved one.
Yes. In the same vein, you point out that where a young person is so mentally unwell, the emotional well-being of their parents is absolutely key, and that more support is needed for those parents.
Yes.
Your experience, I think, is that was entirely absent for you until after Tilly had died.
Until I met up with a lot of other families that had been through the same thing and had witnessed and experienced what I'd witnessed and experienced. So I knew that it really did happen.
Yes.
And that it wasn't something that they led me to believe that I was making things up and it wasn't real, when it really, really was real and it really, really was happening.
Yes.
And to have a group of people behind you to say, no, you're right, carry on, is essential for parents. Because us as parents, we want to do the right thing by our children. We want to give them the right things in life, and to not be heard when inside you feel like you're screaming from the rooftops. You must listen, you've got to stop. I know this isn't right. But you're just looked at as if, no, we know best, you know.
And that increases your sense of isolation further, I think.
Yes.
Something as simple as signposting you to a parent support group in those years could have made a world of difference to you.
Big difference.
Lisa, I have come to the end of my questions for you, and in a moment I'll ask the chair whether she has any further questions for you. We've got another photograph and another video to show, but is there anything else that you would like to say now before we move to those final photographs and videos?
I think we've covered it, haven't we?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we've covered it. I mean, it's just sad that it's come to this, and had, you know, my voice been listened to, it could have been a completely different story. Not only my voice, but there's so many other poor families out there that are still being failed now, and I feel sad for them, and my heart hurts for them, because it's horrendous to live through it.
Thank you. Chair, do you have any other questions?
I've got one last question, and it is on this question of your voice being heard, you being involved. You've told us that the response when you asked questions was, she's 18, she's an adult. Do you know if she ever signed anything to suggest that you should be able to discuss her case?
No, I don't think she signed anything to say that I could, but she never said...
You couldn't?
I couldn't. And the psychiatrist that was treating me and treating Tilly knew how open our relationship was, and knew that Tilly would be quite open to discussing.
Thank you, that's very helpful.
No, thank you.
Lisa, after we've shown the last photograph and video, that will conclude your evidence, but what I need to ask you to do is just to wait in the building, not here, just for 10 minutes or so while we see if there are any other questions for you.
Okay.
And if not, we'll let you know and you'll be free to go.
Thank you.
So could we have those now, please?
Our love is a promised. Oh. Our love is a promised for you. I'll never. Put your things on. I'll never love again. I'll never write a song. Won't even sing along. I'll never love again.
Thank you. Chair, I'm being asked if we could rise now and return at 2:15, please.
And before we do, thank you very much indeed. I've listened with care.
Thank you.